We're going to get into some slightly more advanced techniques for this part. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn on our title and action safe to make sure I'm right in the center here. I'm going to press G on the keyboard to bring up our pen tool. Or I can go up here and select the pen. I'm going to make our first point in the center. Then I'm going to click on the outside and drag to create some handles, which we'll adjust later. I'll make another point up here. Click and drag to make a slight curve. Then I'll click back in the center to finish that off. Now I'm going to press V on the keyboard to bring up our arrow, or select the arrow. And I want to adjust our handles here. If I select this handle on the outside and I press Shift, I'll adjust only the one handle. So I'll bring that in to create a sharper line. And I'll drag the second one out to create more of a curve. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we've got a triangle. It's not perfect, but we can tweak it as much as we want to sort of fine-tune things. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a new solid. For pressing Command Y on the keyboard, we're going up to Layer, New, Solid. Make this comp size, press OK. And we'll come into our effects here and we'll type radio and generate our radio waves. Now you can see that as we scrub through the timeline, we begin to emit some waves from the center of our composition. We'll change these to white. And we can adjust some of the parameters, like start with and end with. And if we change the frequency here, we'll get more lines or less lines. And if we adjust the expansion, they'll move outwards from the center of the circle at a faster rate. So maybe we'll just come up to something like 2, and that's looking good. Now what I want to do is I want to duplicate our triangle here by pressing Command D on the keyboard or going up to Edit, Duplicate. I'll move this above our white solid that has our radio waves. We'll just go ahead and label that radio waves so we know. Why don't we go ahead and name this radar triangle. We'll select our radio waves. And we'll go into the track matte option. If you don't see the track matte option, just click this button down here, toggle switches / modes. And we'll just go ahead and select Alpha Matte Shape Layer 3. And now you can see what this did. This limited the view of our radio waves to just the area of that triangle. I want to take this triangle, I want to lower the opacity of it, maybe something like 50%, and I actually want this to be white. So go ahead and make that white, and we'll lower the opacity even more, maybe like 25. We'll go ahead and we'll bring that on top of our radio waves. I'm going to add a fast blur. Come over here to our effects window, type fast blur. I'll blur this out, maybe something like 50 pixels. So now we get kind of a softer feel, softer edge. I'm going to copy this effect by selecting it and pressing Command C on the keyboard or going up to Edit, Copy. And I'm also going to paste this on our matte for our radio waves. So now what you see here that happened is if I zoom in, you can see that our radio waves begin to bleed out of the side of our triangle, and also on the top here. And if we increase this blur, it'll bleed out more, or if we decrease it, we'll get a little softer of a bleed. So something like 35 seemed good. Now maybe this is a little big. If I select this and scale it down just a little bit, we'll make sure it stays on the inside of our circle. We'll go ahead and we'll just take these elements, and we want to make sure they're below our text border here. We'll just go ahead and we can rename this shape layer text border. And there you go. We're now ready to animate.